Hey, what's up, guys? Let's talk about a couple of things that I haven't really made any videos on, but I do talk about them a lot in private lessons. Obviously, we talk about them a lot in full ensemble rehearsals, but had some lessons today with either returning members or upcoming freshmen, and made some of these comments a lot to different people. So it just made me think that maybe a video would help some people out there. But it's kind of a two-parter. We're going to talk about all three stroke types that we constantly reference. Um, there could be somebody out there that says there's actually four stroke types. There's only two, whatever. We talk about three stroke types when it comes to what we do. Everybody to each their own. That's great. There's a lot of great percussionists and drum lines and percussion ensembles out there that do it differently. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. This is what we do. We talk full rebound stroke being kind of our stroke number one, if you will. Full rebound starting at a certain height, a certain sound, and you're wanting to produce that same exact sound, that same exact height. We do not teach really in terms of heights. The height is a byproduct of a certain sound, but we do talk about them so that we're all on the same page. So let's say 45 degrees, 8 notes. That is a full rebound stroke, trying to be as relaxed as possible, not stopping the motion of the stick. Everything in the hand is nice and relaxed. I'm not squeezing the baby bird. I'm not allowing it to fly away and giving a ton of space in my hand. I don't really subscribe to the idea of the higher you play, the more space needs to happen. I think naturally you relax a little bit so the stick can resonate, but I don't put any parameters or inches or anything on it when it comes to that. So I could play it piano, mezzo piano, mezzo forte. That could be, whatever height is necessary, and I am now considering that to be all a full rebounded stroke. Going into our next two strokes, controlled rebound. If you think in terms of bucks, just accent to tap, and then that tap leads back to the next accent. I talk about the controlled rebound being from a louder sound to a softer sound in a height setting, of course. So higher note to lower note, forte to piano. You want to control that. Well, how do you do that? Making sure that your back fingers are engaged. Do we squeeze to stop? No. Do you have to engage the fingers in order to stop? Yes. Do you have to allow the wrist to stop and not come back up? Yes, but it's still a rebounded stroke. We're not playing dead strokes or presses, so we call that controlled rebound. I've always noticed that the more I talk in match grip or right hand of traditional grip people, if I talk about the ring finger helping out, making sure that it's not getting too far away from the palm, then number one, you're not having to constantly change and adjust. And number two, you don't have all of this space. If I have a ton of space in the back of my hand, and I'm thinking really front, fulcrum, idea, and all this space is that here, and I want to stop that stick, you see that massive wiggle, and that's because now the stick can wiggle a ton back here. All right, that's not squeezing, that's not mechanical. I just put my fingers around it. I'm engaged with the back of the stick now, and it stops a little sooner. Are there still like a wiggle in my beat when I'm stopping? A little bit. Do some people stop with it perfectly dead on? Yes. We don't get into we don't make it a dance class, if you will, but we do talk about what people can do to help them achieve quicker results getting to, and I say quicker results, getting out of an accent to a tap. And those taps could be at varying levels. We could be talking fortissimo to mezzo piano, anything, but the controlled rebound stroke is one of very, very important, making sure that we're getting the contrast from accents to taps. And then the upstroke, something we find that a lot of people are really slow with. An upstroke to me is a two-parted stroke. It's a full rebounded stroke, and then it's us helping that on to that other height above, a tap to an accent, if you will. So full rebound, which is, that's part A, and then part B would be helping that rebound out. So a little quicker of a wrist throwing that in there and helping it out, kind of equate it to a basketball. If I'm bouncing that basketball really, let's say I'm kneeling or I'm sitting down on concrete, if I were to throw that basketball just from 2 inches from the ground, it's going to come up even a little higher. Now, if I were to grab it and stand up and put it by my head and just drop it, it's just going to start dropping lower. That idea kind of helps us twofold, because the faster we throw, the faster that stick gets back here, or the faster it can help get that stick to where we need, but it also improves our quality, the quality of sound. Now, volume and quality are two different things. We stress this a lot. The quality of the drum doesn't purely come from playing through the head. I've seen a lot of students in the past that have been taught, like, play strong, play through the head, but that information is not backed up with, but make sure it's rebounding this way and being natural that way. So a lot of things are this way. I can't tell you how many times in lessons I've told people the term downstroke, I think it's great. It makes a lot of sense, but every stroke that I play to get a sound has to go down. So I don't love using it. And I know some people kind of giggle and they're like, yeah, but that's not what it meant. Like, I just don't like the term, because everything that I play, we all know has to go down. Well, if that's the case, then could we think a little more in this direction? Could we think about what the basketball naturally wants to do, and then how we work on controlling that, or how we allow it to be as natural as possible? But if I wanted to add velocity here, a couple of things happen. Quicker wrist, throwing the bead a little quicker, but then the stick is stopping a little more up here. You can actually see the stick track stop the bead up here. That's something that's beneficial for every musician, to be able to adjust what we would call touch, and adjust your sound to match the people around you. Or if we say, battery, you're way back there on the back hash, can you play a little stronger? We'll use the phrase dig in, we'll use the phrase more velocity, whatever. But at the beginning of the season, everybody knows what we're talking about, because we really thoroughly go through that. Quality is one thing and volume is another. Simply to get a better quality just on this pad doesn't mean play through it. I can play this way right here. And there might be a camp of people that say, play that drum stronger. Okay. Now I'm playing it a little stronger. I'm using a little more velocity. That's not what's needed all the time. But the quality comes from the resonance of the stick. It comes from making sure that my sticks are of appropriate weight for the sound that I desire. We always talk about the stick being as heavy as possible for whatever brand we're using and whatever model we're using. As heavy of a stick as we can find, and as high of a pitch as we can find. That typically produces the best results for us. People are different. But a good sounding stick, the bead shape, all of that, a well-tuned drum in whatever respect you want to tune the drum for preference. And then the resonance of the stick going into that sound as well. The weight from my arm that's going into that sound. If I want to pull out of the drum a little bit, back out of the sound, as opposed to always here. That's okay. Being able to change that stuff is actually a very, very, very good thing for most players to be able to do, so they can adjust to different players around them. Just the idea of quality being the exact same as volume, and more velocity equals a better quality, I just don't agree with that. I think quality of any musical instrument has a number of characteristics that build that quality, and it doesn't always have to be loud. Play louder, lower. That might be beneficial for some times, but maybe not all of the time. So just the way that we kind of talk about some things. Hope that helps a little bit when it comes to terminology, that you might hear us use. But I wish everybody the best when it comes to preparing for auditions. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll be talking to you soon. Thanks. Roll Tide.